Have you heard about the Torenza case? No. Well, get ready. The story you're about to uncover is no ordinary tale. This isn't just a mystery. It's an enigma that has baffled experts and left the world questioning the very fabric of reality. What if the world you think you know isn't what it seems? What if the boundaries of truth are more fragile than we ever imagined? Hold on to that thought, because the truth you're about to uncover is stranger than fiction and more unsettling than you could ever anticipate. But be warned, once you dive into this world, you'll never look at reality the same way again. Are you ready to hear the whole truth? It all started on the 9th of October 2025. At first, no one noticed. Just another ordinary day in an otherwise chaotic world. Or so it seemed. In the quietest of moments, when the everyday hum of the world seemed to drown out all other noises, something occurred that would forever shatter the way we perceive everything around us. What happened was so subtle, yet so profound. It was as if the very nature of reality itself had cracked. Could it be possible that the boundaries of the world we live in are far more fluid than we realize? The world wasn't ready for the revelation that was about to unfold, and perhaps it still isn't. A video, barely lasting seconds, appeared and vanished before anyone could truly understand what they were seeing. But in those fleeting moments, the course of human history was forever altered. If you want to uncover the truth behind more real and mysterious stories, give this video a like and get ready to question everything you thought you knew about the world. In the video, a woman stands calmly in front of the camera. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary about her, but her presence felt almost otherworldly in its serenity. She held something that would change everything. In her hand, a deep blue passport shimmered, its cover embossed with gold lettering that read, Republic of Torenza. The moment the image flickered on the screen, the world paused. For a second, it was as if time itself held its breath. Where had she come from? Who was she? And more importantly, why does Torenza not exist on any map in the world? No one had ever heard of it, and yet there it was, etched in golden letters, daring anyone to challenge its authenticity. Before anyone could even form a coherent question, the video was gone, disappearing into the abyss of the internet, as if it had never existed at all. But the questions it left behind refused to disappear. What is Torenza? Who is the woman? And why was the video erased before the world could react? Let's take a moment to set the stage. What if this wasn't just a mistake? What if the very location of the video, the International John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City, was a clue in itself? The airport, a nexus of cultures, languages, and countless paths crossing every minute of every day, had become the birthplace of a mystery unlike any the world had seen before. Surrounded by the cacophony of rolling suitcases, tired passengers, and the constant murmur of different languages, this woman, no different from any other traveler in appearance, was about to rewrite the rulebook of reality. Did she know something the rest of us didn't? Or had she, in some inexplicable way, stumbled upon a hidden truth, a secret the world wasn't meant to know? As she approached the immigration counter, the usual dance of bureaucracy began, unremarkable and routine. The agent, a man who had reviewed thousands of documents over the years, glanced at her passport with the same detached indifference he gave to every traveler before her. But this passport, this blue metallic document, did not belong to any country he knew. Have you ever wondered how much you trust a piece of paper to define your identity? As his fingers brushed the cover, something shifted within him. Something was wrong. This wasn't just another passport. It was a disruption. The gold lettering on the front, Republic of Torenza, seemed to taunt him. He looked up, confused, then back down, unsure whether he was imagining things. What could this mean? The agent's voice trembled slightly as he asked, "Where are you from?" His words, so routine to him, suddenly seemed to carry a weight he couldn't quite shake off. "From Torenza," the woman responded, her voice calm, measured, almost too calm for such a strange declaration. She didn't flinch. No hesitation, no nervousness. What was going on here? The name rolled off her tongue like it was nothing, as if Torenza was just another place on the map, as common as France or Japan. But the agent couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something monumental was happening right before his eyes, something that couldn't be explained by any rulebook or immigration protocol. And just like that, everything spiraled. The world was introduced to a new mystery, and it spread faster than anyone could predict. The video had been shared, reshared, and spread like wildfire. But why? What did it all mean? How could a place like Torenza exist if no one had ever heard of it? Theories began to emerge. Some whispered of hidden borders. Others spoke of a secret nation created by the world's most powerful minds. Could it be possible that entire nations exist outside of our collective knowledge? That some places, hidden in the folds of history, have somehow been erased from every map and database in existence? And what if Torenza was the key to unlocking something even greater? As the story of the woman from Torenza continued to unfold, more strange pieces of the puzzle began to surface. One report claimed that the passport itself was a replica, a masterful forgery created by an unknown group. But then, how could a forgery feel so real, so tangible? Other experts suggested that the woman might be part of a covert operation, a government experiment to test the limits of national identity. But if that was the case, why hadn't anyone ever heard of Torenza before? Was this just an elaborate hoax, or was something far stranger at play? The more the world searched for answers, the more it found itself sinking deeper into a labyrinth of confusion, unable to see the walls closing in. Who was the woman? And why did she appear so calm in the face of what seemed like an impossible situation? Was she part of something larger? A mystery so vast, it could not be contained by the limitations of reality itself. The more questions emerged, the less clear the answers became. Each new lead seemed to vanish into thin air, only to be replaced by more questions. Was she a messenger? A harbinger of some greater truth? Or simply a lost traveler who had stumbled upon something she was never meant to find? What if Torenza is more than just a place? The more time passed, the more the mystery of Torenza consumed everything. Theories swirled, but none could explain the impossible reality of a country that didn't exist. Scholars, journalists, and conspiracy theorists all came forward with their own interpretations, but none of them were able to provide the answer the world was so desperate to uncover. It was as if Torenza was a key, locked away in a drawer, just out of reach. But what was it the key opened? And then, in the quietest of moments, when the world thought it had almost forgotten, a new video surfaced. This time, the woman was standing in a field, the same blue passport clutched tightly in her hands. Behind her, a horizon stretched out into nothingness, a place that seemed both familiar and utterly alien. Was this the clue they had been waiting for? Or was it another piece of the puzzle that would lead them deeper into the mystery? Are you ready to dive into the unknown? To question everything you thought you knew about the world? The story of Torenza is just beginning. What truths are hidden within its borders? And more importantly, what will happen when we finally unlock them? What followed that day was not just a simple misunderstanding. No, it was the beginning of something far more intricate, a cascade of events that slowly turned what should have been a routine immigration check into a silent chaos that spread through the corridors of the airport like a slow-burning fire. The agent, whose daily life revolved around processing hundreds of passengers, moved mechanically, typing the information into the system with the same precision he applied to every other document. He'd seen it all. Nothing had ever deviated from the expected routine, or so he thought. When the computer screen returned a void, an empty space, no nationality, no flag, no embassy, no recognizable country, something inside the agent shifted. What does that mean? How could a passport appear in front of him, so real, so tangible, and yet show no trace of belonging to any recognized nation? His fingers hovered above the keyboard as his mind raced to reconcile the unexplainable. Torenza. The name stared back at him, but the system didn't acknowledge it. No records, no borders, no history. Was this some sort of joke, or was something far more unsettling happening? The agent flipped through the pages of the passport again, scrutinizing the details, but nothing appeared out of the ordinary, until his eyes fell on the stamps. Spain, Japan, Brazil. Each entry meticulously detailed with dates, signatures, and codes. They looked so authentic, so flawless, as if every detail had been crafted by a master forger. If you're fascinated by mystery and believe there's more to the world than meets the eye, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Here, we share real stories that happen to people just like you. Stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew. But the more the agent examined it, the more the mystery deepened. How could this passport be real and yet not belong to any country? There was no record of Torenza anywhere. The name didn't exist. Yet the stamps, those intricate marks, told a different story. What was going on? How could something so obviously tangible slip through the cracks of a system designed to catch the smallest discrepancy? The agent's growing unease was palpable. He called for his supervisor, who arrived quickly, his expression a mirror of confusion and suspicion. Maps were pulled out. Databases were accessed with increasing urgency, but the result was always the same. Torenza did not exist. The woman, calm, serene, almost unnervingly composed, remained standing in front of them, her eyes reflecting no sign of distress. Did she know something they didn't? The silence of the moment seemed to stretch on forever, as though the world outside had paused, waiting for someone to make sense of the impossible situation unfolding inside the airport terminal. When asked again where she was from, her response was eerily matter-of-fact. Torenzan. Her words seemed to ripple in the air like a strange melody, a blend of languages that felt both familiar and ancient, yet impossible to place. She spoke with the certainty of someone describing a place that everyone should know, a place that should be on every map. When asked what kind of business she was conducting, she answered without hesitation, "I work for a maritime transport company based in Torenza. This is my third visit to the United States." Third visit? How could she have been to a country that didn't exist? Everything about her was so believable, and yet every word added to the layers of confusion. The agent and his supervisor, still reeling from the incongruity of the situation, asked her to point out her country on the map. What happened next was something neither of them could have anticipated. Without so much as a pause, she took a pen and, with the delicate precision of someone drawing a future, marked a point on the map. Her finger traced a spot between Spain and Morocco, right in the heart of the Mediterranean. What was she doing? The agent leaned in, scrutinizing the location. The map showed nothing, just an expanse of deep blue ocean. There was no land, no country, no Torenza. What had she just done? Was she somehow playing with them? Or had she truly believed in this invisible place? "Here," she said quietly, her voice laced with an unshakable confidence. Torenza, on our western coast. Was it possible that the map was wrong? The agent furrowed his brow, feeling a rising sense of something he couldn't name, something between disbelief and fear. "There's no land here," he muttered, almost to himself. "There's just ocean." The woman's gaze met his, and there was something in her eyes, something old, something knowing, that made him question his entire perception of reality. "Your map must be outdated," she replied, her voice serene, as if she were speaking to a child who had not yet learned to understand the world. Could she really be this convinced? Or was she playing a role in a game he didn't understand? By this point, the airport had descended into a strange sort of paralysis. The workers, the security officers, the technicians, all hovered on the fringes of this enigma. There was no answer, no explanation that made sense. Was this a hoax? A glitch? Or was it something more? The woman's story, the passport, the map. It all felt like a riddle without a key. They asked her to explain again, to tell them who she really was, where she was from, why none of this made sense. But every answer she gave, though it seemed so natural, so rehearsed, only deepened the mystery. They ordered a recording to be made of the conversation, photographs to be taken of the document, every detail to be logged and archived. Yet each step towards understanding seemed to push them further into an abyss. Her passport, under the light, revealed intricate holograms, shimmering watermarks, and even fine filigree on the paper. Details so perfect, they defied any logical explanation. The stamps from Spain, Japan, and Brazil were flawless. Everything was perfect. But Torenza still didn't exist. Hours passed, and as the woman was led to an isolated room for further questioning, the world outside began to unravel. Her luggage was examined. Inside was a neatly packed suitcase, a phone that appeared to be of a brand not recognized in the market, and, most disturbingly, a photograph that seemed to capture something entirely impossible. It showed a coastal city, nestled between ancient stone bridges, peaceful rivers, and buildings that bore unmistakable European architecture. Flags, though, were the most unsettling part of the picture. They bore an emblem no one recognized. The back of the photo was handwritten, Torenza, 2017. Was this a time capsule? A forgotten place? The tension around the airport had reached a fever pitch. Was the world on the verge of awe, discovering something that no one was prepared for? Rumors spread like wildfire. An employee, unable to resist, had leaked an image of the passport to social media. In minutes, the hashtag Torenza exploded, gaining thousands of followers, and speculations ran wild. Searches on Google Maps, geographic databases, and even obscure corners of the internet turned up empty. How could something so real, so undeniable, leave no trace? But despite the void, theories continued to swirl. Some suggested Torenza was a lost land, hidden by secretive powers, a place erased from the public eye long ago. Others connected the name with whispers of parallel dimensions, of worlds lost and found, appearing and disappearing like fleeting dreams. As the woman sat quietly in the interrogation room, there was a tension that didn't match her composed demeanor. She glanced at the clock, her gaze distant, like she was waiting for something or someone. When asked again why her country couldn't be found in any record, she gave a cryptic response. "Perhaps you are not looking at the right map." What did she mean by that? Was there a deeper layer to this mystery they had yet to uncover? The hours that followed stretched on, like a taut wire, pulled to the edge of snapping. In the sterile cold of the airport, time itself seemed to warp, as if caught in the web of a mystery that nobody could explain. The authorities were at a loss, as though they had stepped into an alternate dimension, where the rules they relied upon no longer applied. every attempt to reach any government office, any international contact, was met with silence, as if Torenza itself had swallowed up any trace of recognition. The woman, so calm and unflustered throughout it all, had become the focal point of an impossible riddle, and yet no one could find a solution. By nightfall, the decision was made to move her to a nearby hotel under temporary custody while they tried to unravel the enigma. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the woman was escorted through the shadowy hallways of the airport, surrounded by guards and security personnel. The room she was placed in was monitored, every corner watched by hidden cameras, every movement meticulously recorded. The logs showed that she entered the room alone at exactly 10:46 p.m. The door clicked shut, sealing her inside, and the night fell heavy with anticipation. But at 6:15 a.m., when an officer arrived to check on her, the door creaked open to reveal a chilling sight. The room was empty, the bed untouched, her passport gone, her luggage vanished. How was that even possible? The security footage, once clear and unbroken, now showed an inexplicable gap of exactly 7 minutes and 23 seconds. An eerie cut, a fragment of time erased. The file was corrupted, its contents lost to an invisible force. Panic swept through the airport as staff scrambled to search for any trace of the woman. The building was scoured from top to bottom, from the bustling hallways to the darkened emergency exits, but there was nothing. Where could she have gone? It was as if she had evaporated into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a faint imprint, a phantom that refused to be captured. The airport was left in a haze of confusion, the shadows of what had happened still lingering in every corner. But this wasn't the end of the mystery. It was only the beginning. The truth, if there was such a thing, was far more elusive. The documents, the scans of her passport, began to disappear from the airport's central database as if they had never existed at all. What kind of power could make evidence vanish like that? A cryptic message was all that the authorities could offer. Internal error, data lost. But no one believed it. The woman and her impossible country had become a dark fire, one that continued to burn, even as the attempts to bury it deepened. And then, like a whisper through the digital wind, the leaks began. The woman's image, the fleeting glimpse of her in the video, began to resurface in the most unexpected places. The original footage, now uploaded to obscure corners of the internet, was downloaded by an army of online sleuths who refused to let go of the puzzle. They shared fragments of the video, speculated, analyzed, and theorized. Why wouldn't the world let go of this mystery? Social media exploded with theories, some more outlandish than others. One camp argued that she was a traveler from a parallel dimension, a visitor from a world that existed alongside their own, yet just out of reach. Another group suggested that she was part of a shadowy government experiment, designed to test the limits of identity and reality. But perhaps the most audacious theory of all was that Torenza, the place she spoke of, was not a country at all, but proof that their reality itself was flawed, that it was a simulation with cracks forming, unseen by the people living in it. Could that be possible? Then, as if to mock every logical explanation, ancient, faded maps began circulating in the darkest corners of the web. These maps, hand-drawn, poorly scanned, showed the existence of a land called Torenza, nestled somewhere between Spain and Morocco, in the heart of the Mediterranean. The maps were littered with symbols that seemed to belong to another time, maritime emblems from the 19th century, the kind of markings that had once been used to navigate the unknown seas. What did this mean? Could it be that Torenza had been forgotten by time, erased from history? No historian could authenticate these maps, yet the striking detail, the uncanny accuracy of their descriptions, sent a chill down the spine of anyone who dared to examine them. Could there really have been a place called Torenza, lost to the tides of history? Or was it something far more sinister? Meanwhile, the woman, still elusive, still unreachable, remained an enigma. No one could figure out who she was, or where she had come from. An anonymous employee, who claimed to have seen her in the airport, sent an email to an underground news outlet. The message was a strange mix of awe and dread. "I saw her face," the email read. She was confused, yes, but not scared, as if she knew she wasn't going to stay here much longer. The email ended abruptly, leaving a haunting sense of finality, as if the person who sent it had disappeared into the ether. Shortly afterward, the email account was deleted. Who could erase their own identity like that? The clues were slipping through their fingers, just out of reach. As days passed, the mystery only deepened. A Spanish investigator, who had been called in to examine the stamps on the passport, uncovered something that seemed impossible. The dates on the stamps didn't match the conventional timeline. They were slightly altered, just enough to make them appear as though they had been from a different time, a time that didn't align with the history they knew. Could the woman be from a different time altogether? Was she caught in some kind of temporal rift? But despite these unsettling discoveries, the authorities remained tight-lipped. They said nothing. They let the whispers grow, letting the internet do what it does best: spread uncertainty. And then, as if to mock them even further, the woman was never seen again. No more sightings, no more clues. How could something so real just disappear? She had walked into that room, and she had simply vanished. Her name, if she ever even revealed it, was lost to the wind. There was no record of her ever having entered the airport, no official documentation of her existence, no trace of her anywhere. How could a person exist and yet not exist at all? Torenza, once just a name, was now more than that. It had become a force, a riddle that shook the very foundations of reality. It was a question that refused to be answered, a whisper on the edge of perception that forced people to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the world. Could Torenza be real? Or was it something else entirely? Something that we couldn't even begin to understand? The woman's disappearance wasn't just about a missing person anymore. It was about a missing piece of reality itself, a hole in the fabric of the universe, and no one could stop asking, what was Torenza? If you're drawn to mystery and sense that there's something hidden just beyond our sight, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Here, we reveal real stories experienced by ordinary people. Stories so strange and compelling, they'll make you question everything you thought was real. The layers of mystery seem to keep unfolding, each revealing a new depth, a new twist, as though the universe itself were playing a game with reality. One where the rules were unclear and the stakes were too high to comprehend. As the investigators scrambled to find any explanation for the existence of Torenza, an eerie echo from the past emerged, like a shadow rising from forgotten corners. It was the case of Torenza, a strange incident that had been dismissed and buried decades ago. Yet it had now resurfaced, its uncanny parallels with the mystery of Torenza undeniable. In 1954, at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, a well-dressed Caucasian man had presented a passport from a country that did not exist, Torenza. His document was flawless, with stamps from France, Germany, and other recognized nations, all legitimate, all verifiable. But when the officials asked him where he came from, he calmly pointed to a spot on the map between France and Spain, an area we now know as Andorra, and proclaimed, "This is my country. Why did they change the name?" His words, seemingly innocent, were the beginning of an unfolding nightmare. As in the case of the woman from Torenza, his confusion was met with increasing disbelief. The man was placed under surveillance at a hotel, yet by the morning, both he and his belongings had vanished without a trace. The authorities launched a search, but nothing was found. The newspapers, with their typical brevity, mentioned the incident only briefly before dismissing it as an urban legend, a bizarre curiosity for the history books. But now, 70 years later, Torenza had emerged from the shadows as though it were the fractured reflection of Tord, a dark twin, standing on the other side of a shattered mirror. What did it mean? Could there be a connection? Or was it all just an extraordinary coincidence, an uncanny series of unrelated events? The parallels were simply too precise to ignore. Could it be that these two disappearances were fragments of a much larger puzzle? What if Torenza, like Tord, was a forgotten place that had somehow slipped between the cracks of time and space? Was it possible that they were both pieces of a puzzle, connected by something beyond our understanding, a fracture in the very fabric of reality itself? What would that mean for the world we live in? As the world grappled with the implications of these mysteries, quantum physicists, fascinated by the connection, began to speculate. Theories of parallel universes, once confined to the realm of science fiction, suddenly seemed more plausible. Michio Kaku, one of the most prominent voices in the field, proposed that if parallel universes do exist, their intersections with our own might not manifest as grand cosmic events, but rather as small, seemingly insignificant errors, glitches in the system. A building that appears out of nowhere, only to vanish moments later. A face that seems familiar, yet no one can recall where it's from. A passport from a country that doesn't exist. What if these weren't just isolated anomalies? What if they were proof of something far greater? Meanwhile, in the darker corners of the internet, the name Torenza began to take on a life of its own. Discussions of this mysterious place, sometimes mentioned in dreamlike contexts, began to surface on encrypted forums, buried deep within the layers of the so-called dark web. These posts, often cryptic and full of intrigue, spoke of a coastal city with stone bridges, a flag of deep blue with a golden emblem, and a language that sounded like a distant echo of ancient Italian. Why had no one heard of it? The descriptions were eerily consistent, yet they painted a picture of something that couldn't be found anywhere in the world, not in any historical record or map. How was it that so many different people, scattered across the internet, could describe the same place in such vivid detail when none of them had ever actually been there? Was it a collective hallucination, a dream shared by many? Or was there something deeper at play? The mystery surrounding Torenza was not just a challenge to conventional understanding. It was a direct assault on the very nature of truth itself. In the age of digital information, where every fact, every document, every image is meticulously archived and accessible at the click of a button, how could something this profound be erased so effortlessly? How was it possible for something to exist and yet not exist at the same time? As the images of the Torenza passport continued to vanish from the internet, the metadata from the earliest copies revealed something that no one could explain. Traces of the files pointed to government servers in the European Union, but these addresses disappeared just hours later. The investigation shifted to cyberspace as experts in cybersecurity delved deeper into the origins of the files. They found themselves led down a rabbit hole to encrypted forums where discussions of memory simulation experiments were taking place. Hidden within lines of code and cryptic messages, the name Torenza appeared again and again, as though it had been planted in the minds of those working on the simulation. Could it be that this was all part of a larger experiment, one designed to blur the lines between reality and artificiality? Were the glitches in the system, the anomalies in the records, signs that the boundaries between what was real and what was artificial had begun to break down? The more the experts dug, the more questions piled up, questions with no answers, only more layers of confusion. At the same time, a strange sense of urgency began to permeate the discourse around Torenza. As more and more people became aware of the mystery, the world seemed to be slowly waking up to the possibility that there was more to this than anyone had ever imagined. What if the truth was not only more extraordinary than we thought, but also far more terrifying? The search for answers was no longer just about uncovering a missing country or a woman who had vanished. It was about something far more profound, the questioning of everything we thought we knew about the world. Could our reality be a fragile illusion? Could we be living in a simulation, a construct so intricate that the glitches were now beginning to show? Was Torenza and everything surrounding it just the beginning of something far bigger? An awakening that would change everything? The question echoed in the minds of those who dared to ask. Was this the unraveling of a hidden truth? Or was it just the start of a deeper mystery, one that no one could truly understand? As the lines between the possible and the impossible blurred, the world found itself teetering on the edge of a revelation that could shatter everything. And as the search for Torenza continued, one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. It began quietly, almost imperceptibly, like a whisper swallowed by static. The first signs were dismissed as technical glitches, harmless anomalies in a digital age oversaturated with data. But soon the disappearances became too precise, too synchronized, too impossibly clean to be dismissed as coincidence. Files didn't just vanish. They erased themselves with surgical accuracy, as if an unseen hand were delicately plucking them from existence. Hyperlinks that once led to archived images now redirected to blank pages, their addresses dead, their origins untraceable. Screenshots once thought safe showed corrupted metadata, timestamps rewritten, file origins replaced by gibberish, and digital fingerprints that pointed nowhere. Even the blockchain archives, decentralized, immutable by design, had been tampered with. How could that be? Who had the power to alter what was supposedly permanent, untouchable, eternal? It wasn't censorship. It was something far more deliberate. It was as if someone or something was reprogramming the past. Among the growing chaos, one name began to circulate in encrypted chat rooms and anonymous message boards: Nomad Archivist. A digital historian known for uncovering erased data and lost files, he claimed to have downloaded the original passport images before they disappeared. His post appeared for only a few hours before it, too, was swallowed by the void. But in that brief window, a few viewers managed to capture fragments of his video. A dimly lit room, static-filled audio, and his trembling voice whispering about something he'd found hidden deep within the metadata. A single phrase, buried within the digital code of the Torenza passport, written in perfect Latin: Ex umbra mundi, from the shadow of the world. The phrase carried a weight that felt ancient, almost sacred, like an invocation from a forgotten order. And then, he was gone. His account vanished. His IP address, when traced, led not to a city or a country, but to coordinates in the North Atlantic, an area where, according to every modern map, there was nothing but water. Was it a trick? Or had Nomad Archivist glimpsed something he was never meant to see? After that, Torenza became forbidden, a digital taboo, a name that seemed to defend itself from being remembered. Forums that mentioned it went offline within hours. Videos were demonetized, channels terminated, and journalists who dared to investigate received cease and desist letters from organizations that didn't officially exist. Have you ever seen information erase itself before your eyes? That's what witnesses described. A slow flickering, as if reality itself were glitching, erasing a truth too dangerous to remain. But if the goal was silence, it backfired. Because silence, as it always does, only made the whispers louder. In private groups and encrypted channels, communities of truth seekers began to reconstruct what had been lost. Using fragments, cached thumbnails, and broken text logs, they pieced together their own version of the mystery. And as they did, something strange began to happen. The theories grew, mutating like living organisms, branching into ideas that blurred the line between science and mythology. Some whispered about a covert initiative known as Project Umbra, an operation allegedly designed to manipulate collective memory, erasing, rewriting, and reshaping the narrative of history itself. According to one supposed insider, Torenza had been officially categorized as a Type B mimetic anomaly, an event that, though technically false, exerted measurable influence on human consciousness. Can an idea infect reality? Can something imagined, something impossible, become real through belief alone? The claims didn't stop there. One ex-employee from a digital intelligence contractor confessed, under a hidden identity, that copies of the Torenza passport weren't destroyed at all. They were relocated. According to him, mirrored servers existed aboard private satellites orbiting the Earth, servers that stored alternate versions of history. If that were true, then Torenza wasn't just a hoax. It was evidence of a parallel archive, a version of reality that bled into our own. What if the passport wasn't a document, but a key, a fragment from another timeline, misplaced, like a whisper from a world that almost was? And yet, the coincidences kept multiplying, too specific, too synchronized to ignore. Researchers began discovering the name Torenza, carved into ancient buildings across southern Europe, etched into the corners of forgotten chapels, and under bridges blackened by centuries. In one monastery in Sicily, a weathered fresco depicted a blue flag with a golden sigil, eerily similar to the one seen in the vanished photograph of the woman's city. Was that just imagination or evidence? And in libraries long thought to be fully digitized, archivists stumbled upon neglected manuscripts, some dating back to the 13th century, that described a coastal city swallowed by the trembling sea. Each text carried slight variations of the same word: Torenza, Torencia, Torencia. It was as if the name had been echoing through time, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be remembered. The pattern deepened. Digital archaeologists began tracing strange anomalies in online music databases, forgotten folk songs, mislabeled tracks, snippets of haunting melodies that mentioned a city by the sea that sings to those who dream of her. These fragments, old, incomplete, seemed to reappear every time Torenza's name resurfaced, as if the city was trying to speak through art, through time, through memory. Could a place have a will of its own? Could it be calling out to be remembered? Meanwhile, an investigation into academic databases revealed something even more disturbing. Historical references to Torenza, mentions in maritime logs, trade documents, and travel diaries had been systematically edited over the last few decades. Every record, every mention had been rewritten or quietly replaced with alternate names and details. It wasn't a random purge. It was a meticulous erasure. Someone or something was curating history itself. But why? To protect us or to protect itself? The discussions that followed were no longer confined to the fringe. Theories of simulation and digital consciousness began to merge with metaphysical speculation. What if Torenza wasn't a country at all? What if it was a signal, a transmission crossing dimensions, a form of communication between parallel realities that occasionally collided with ours. The impossible passports, the vanishing footage, the corrupted data. What if those weren't mistakes, but coordinates? Codes embedded in reality, markers left behind by travelers who had crossed the thin veil between worlds. And if that's true, what does that make us? Observers or participants in something far greater? As the idea spread, people began reporting dreams of cities they had never visited, languages they didn't speak, faces they somehow recognized, and always, the same name whispered through their sleep: Torenza. The phenomenon was no longer confined to screens. It was seeping into consciousness itself. Scientists couldn't explain it. Governments refused to acknowledge it. But the pattern was undeniable. Torenza was no longer just a mystery. It was becoming a presence, something alive, something aware, something that refused to be forgotten. Tell me, do you feel it too? That faint pull, as if something or someone is reaching out from beyond the edge of what we call reality. Because if you listen closely enough, you might hear it too. The whisper from the shadow of the world. And then there were the dreams. Have you ever woken up from a dream, your heart racing, convinced that the world you just left was more real than the one you returned to? That's how it started. People from all corners of the earth, with no obvious connection to one another, began reporting strange, recurring visions. They saw the same city, Torenza, a city that defied all logic, existing somewhere between the cracks of what was and what might have been. It was a city of pure white, bathed in an ethereal, almost unnatural green sea. Its skyline was jagged yet graceful, with a towering central spire rising above it all, crowned by a flickering blue flame. Some described it as otherworldly, as though the laws of physics themselves had taken a breath and slowed down. The air was thick, they said, heavy with an unspoken presence. Time, it seemed, didn't move the same way there. It dragged. It bent. A slow-motion dreamscape where every second stretched and quivered like the edge of a forgotten memory. Can you picture it? The gentle lapping of that green sea against the white shores, the strange stillness that hung in the air like a whisper too soft to catch. But it wasn't just the city that intrigued them. The people who encountered these dreams described something else, something that left them uneasy. It was as if they were being watched from afar, an unseen force, an unacknowledged presence that wasn't just observing, but interacting, communicating with their minds in ways they couldn't fully comprehend. What was it trying to say? Why this city? Why them? Luis Aranzabal, a renowned Chilean anthropologist, became one of the first to take these reports seriously. He began collecting testimony, weaving together fragments from people across continents. His findings were staggering. These dreams were too consistent, too detailed to be dismissed as mere coincidence. Each person spoke of the same white city. Each described the same green sea. Each sensed the same presence, a silent weight pressing down on them. And then, in his research, something else became clear. Many of the dreamers didn't simply see the city. They felt it. Their souls, it seemed, recognized it, as though this city, this place, had once been theirs, and now they were only catching glimpses of it through the mist of time and space. But Aranzabal's conclusion was even more profound. He suggested that Torenza might not be a place at all, not in the traditional sense. No, he theorized. It was something far more intangible, something deeper. He proposed that Torenza could be a transdimensional memory, a whisper from a forgotten world that somehow persisted in the collective of unconscious of humanity. A city not lost in time, but out of sync with it. A place that, like a radio frequency, vibrated at a different frequency, one that crossed through the thin membrane that separated our reality from others. A world that almost existed, yet didn't. It was there, but it was just out of reach, so near, yet so impossibly distant. Can you grasp what that means? Could Torenza be some kind of collective echo? A reverberation of a world that never fully took form? A memory, not from a single person, but from all of humanity. An ancient imprint in our minds of a city that almost was. If that was true, then what about the woman at the airport? The one who vanished without a trace? What if she wasn't a lost traveler, a confused woman caught in the wrong place, at the wrong time, but a messenger, a fragment of that other world, slipping through the cracks to remind us of a reality that could have been or still might be? Imagine that for a moment. Could the woman have been a symbol, a vibration in the form of a person, a conduit carrying a message from one version of the world to another? What if she was trying to tell us that the world we know is just one version of many? What if she, in her very being, was proof that realities were not fixed, that we were not stuck in one timeline, but floating among many possibilities, like travelers in a sea of parallel worlds? The more Aurangzabal delved into the phenomenon, the more connections he uncovered. He started to see patterns in the dreams themselves, patterns that mirrored ancient myths, stories passed down through generations about lost cities, about places that existed in the folds of time, only to be forgotten by all who lived in the world they had once called home. These weren't just random visions, they were recurring threads, woven into the fabric of human history, like the city of Atlantis or the fabled city of El Dorado. Places spoken of in hushed tones, places that might have been, or could have been, or perhaps still are, somewhere out there, just beyond the veil of our perception. Could this be true? Could Torenza really be a place that was never meant to be remembered? A city that slipped between the cracks of time itself? Aurangzabal's theory, though controversial, opened up new doors. If Torenza was a transdimensional memory, what if we were all connected to it in some way? What if each of us carried a tiny piece of this lost world within us, buried in our DNA, lodged somewhere in the back of our minds like a long-forgotten dream? But if Torenza was a frequency, a kind of vibration in the fabric of reality, could it be that the woman at the airport was somehow a part of that vibration? A living, breathing echo from another world, caught in our reality, like a fleeting dream that cannot fully manifest? What if her appearance at the airport wasn't just a random event, but a moment, a ripple in the timeline, a disruption in the perfect flow of events that forced us to notice something we weren't supposed to? A signal to those who could hear it, a reminder of something we had forgotten, something so important that the universe itself had to force us to confront it. What happens when a memory, a vibration, a frequency from another reality begins to echo across worlds? Is it possible that Torenza wasn't just a forgotten city, but a message from another version of ourselves? And if that's true, what else could be waiting for us in the cracks between worlds? Could Torenza be the first of many such echoes, vibrating through time and space, waiting for someone to listen? Could we be that someone? The phenomenon of Torenza transformed into something far more profound than a mere enigma. It became a mirror, one that reflected not just the strangeness of an impossible event, but the deep, unspoken questions that had been quietly gnawing at the edges of human consciousness for centuries. Between October and November of 2025, the term Torenza soared past every other global search term, surpassing political scandals, natural disasters, even scientific breakthroughs. It was as though the entire world had suddenly fixated on this one word, this one mystery that had no clear origin or explanation. The obsession spread like wildfire, from coffee shops in Tokyo to underground forums in Buenos Aires, from university lecture halls to quiet living rooms where people sat in awe, staring at their screens, desperate for answers that they weren't even sure they wanted to find. But there was something else in the air, something more palpable than the desire for answers, a realization. People didn't just want facts. No, we craved meaning. In a world where the lines between what was real and what was fabricated had long since blurred, where images could be doctored, videos edited, and histories rewritten, at the click of a button, Torenza became something far more elusive. It became a symbol, a reminder of what we had lost in this digital age, the power of the unknown, the allure of the impossible. It was an odd thing, this collective fascination. The world had been searching for meaning in so many places, from religion to science, from politics to pop culture. But in Torenza, people found something else, a crack in the surface of reality, a portal to something more. The more the story unraveled, the more impossible it seemed, the more captivating it became. No one could explain it, yet everyone was drawn to it. And in that draw, in that collective obsession, a strange truth emerged. Torenza was more than just a curiosity. It was a shared experience, a riddle that transcended the individual and became a global puzzle. It was a reminder that even in a time when every piece of information could be verified, when every image could be scrutinized, the unknown was still powerful. The unexplained still held weight. Could it be that in an age where everything is known, the true refuge of the human spirit was in the unexplainable, in the mystery? And what about the implications of that? Why, in a time where answers are more accessible than ever, were people so fixated on a mystery that had no real solution? Why did Torenza captivate millions while so many other events were quickly forgotten? Could it be that in our search for truth, we had come to the uncomfortable realization that perhaps truth itself is just a construct? In a world where facts could be manipulated, where even the past could be altered or erased, maybe the only thing left to search for was meaning. Torenza wasn't just a place, a name, or a historical footnote. It became a metaphor for something larger, a symbol for everything that was hidden just beyond our reach. The more it slipped through our fingers, the more we wanted it. The more it disappeared from the digital landscape, the more we needed it. Isn't it fascinating how we, as humans, are drawn to what we can't touch? The more inaccessible something becomes, the more precious it seems. As Torenza's presence in the digital world began to fade, its files deleted, its traces wiped clean, the more people clung to the fragments that remained. Strange posts continued to pop up in the darkest corners of the internet. Shadowy websites with links that led nowhere. Leaked photos from anonymous sources. The illusion of the city persisted, even as the truth behind it continued to dissipate. Was it an elaborate hoax? A viral marketing stunt gone awry? Or something far stranger? The lines between fact and fiction blurred to the point where it became impossible to separate one from the other. And still, the mystery remained. As the weeks went by and the story of Torenza slowly retreated into the shadows of forgotten myths, an odd phrase began to echo across various platforms, first whispered, then shouted. The world is not a place, it's a frequency. What did it mean? Was it just another cryptic message left by those who had become obsessed with Torenza? Or was it something more? A deeper, unsettling truth about the nature of reality itself? What if our perception of the world was just one frequency, one vibration among many? What if the reality we experience is merely a tiny slice of something vastly more complex, something infinitely larger, constantly vibrating just out of reach. Could Torenza have been a fragment of that other frequency? A glimpse into another version of reality that we were never meant to see? Could it be that the real truth behind Torenza was not hidden in the files, or the pictures, or the eyewitness accounts, but in the idea itself? Could the phenomenon have been a kind of collective awareness that reality is malleable, changeable, and that what we perceive as permanent is nothing more than a snapshot of a fleeting moment in a much larger, more intricate design? Isn't that the nature of all myths? They offer us a vision of the world as it could have been, or perhaps as it might yet be. They give us hope that beyond the veil of what we know, there are possibilities waiting to be discovered. And as the world moved on from Torenza, as the headlines shifted and the digital noise of the day crowded out the whispers of the past, did Torenza disappear? Or was it simply waiting? Waiting for us to remember. Waiting for us to listen again. To hear the frequencies vibrating just beyond the fabric of our reality. What if Torenza was never truly a place in space, but a frequency, a pulse, a wave in the ocean of existence? What if it was not a location, but an idea, a concept of something that exists somewhere, not in the geography of the Earth, but in the spaces between worlds? Perhaps Torenza was more than a myth. Perhaps it was a call, a signal from the other side of existence, a reminder that we are not alone in this universe of infinite possibilities. The people who dreamt of it, the people who searched for it, they were all searching for something deeper than answers. They were searching for the meaning behind the frequency, the pulse that connects us all to something greater, something older. And maybe, just maybe, in the fading echoes of Torenza, in the disappearance of its files, its images, its traces, there was a larger message, a message that transcends time, space, and all the boundaries we place on our understanding of reality. And the question remains, what if Torenza is still out there, waiting to be remembered?